Alright, so I'm going to show how to replace the screen on this 13-inch MacBook Pro model A2289. Alright, this is a space gray Touchbar model. Alright, so hopefully the screen is the right part. I just saw this inside the box and it shows a 2018-2019 space gray, but this is a 2020 MacBook Pro, so we'll see if it has issues. Then most likely I was sent the wrong part and then I'm going to have to order a new one or get a replacement. Alright, so we're going to need a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. We're also going to need a T3 Torx 3 screwdriver, a T5 Torx 5 screwdriver, as well as a, forgot to mention, Pentalobe 0.8 or P2. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is use the Pentalobe, alright, the P5 or 1.2. Alright, so let's go ahead and get that one. Alright, and we're going to remove all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep all the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, I take the screw out, I put them with the flat side down, in the pattern I remove them. So you see 4 down here, 2 up there, that's the pattern I put it. Alright, and that's how I keep track of them. Okay, if this video helps you, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if it helps a lot, make sure to share this video with friends and family, or not specifically this video, but you can share the whole channel. I got lots of other computer repairs and things like that. This isn't my computer, these are actually customers' computers. Alright, so I actually show how to repair several, like I've done thousands of these repairs. Alright, so anyways, we're going to use a suction cup to pop open this cover. Alright, so grab that, stick that on. We're going to use that to lift it up and get underneath here. If you don't have a suction cup, you can also use tape to do this, but anyways, once you get under, you're going to slide over and then go to the sides and then pop the cover like that. Alright, same thing with the other side. Get over to the side. I use my fingernails to lift up the cover and then my thumb to push down the other half. Alright, just like that. Okay, and now that cover is released. Alright, to remove the bottom cover, we're going to hold the computer up like this. Get your fingers in like that, and then use your palm to grab that with your fingers. You want to keep your fingernails along the back here. If you get your fingers too far, then you can end up like scraping your skin off on the inside. So we're going to hold it like this, okay? I'm going to wrap my fingers over the top like that, use my index finger to help push this down, and we're going to push down on this edge here while we pull the cover down. Alright, if it doesn't come out, alright, which it did, but if it doesn't, then you'll want to go over to the other side and then do that, and then just go back and forth, and eventually you should be able to pop it out. It does take quite a bit of force to pull this down, so keep that in mind. Alright, once you pull the cover off, we're just going to take it out, flip it off. Alright, there we go. This battery is all wrinkly for some reason. I don't know why. That's really strange. Usually that happens when adhesive is put on it and then pulled up, so kind of strange. Alright, let's zoom in. We're going to disconnect the battery real quick. We're going to switch to a Pentalobe, sorry, not a Pentalobe, a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver for this. Alright, we're going to peel up this plastic piece here. You want to go slowly, just peel it gently. Alright, just like that. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and disconnect this cable here. So first lift up this plastic piece here, covering the latch here. So we're going to flip this latch up. I use my fingernail to do that. And then we're going to get underneath this cable, grab it with your fingers, and then just pull this out. If you can't do that, you can also use tweezers or something. Alright, so we'll lift this cable out of the way, and then we're going to remove this one screw here using the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, just like that, and take that screw out. Set that aside. As you can see, this metal tab is still touching down here, so what you want to do, get underneath and slowly lift that up just slightly to where it's no longer making contact with the board. So here underneath you can actually see where it makes contact. There's several little gold points there where it makes contact, and that's how the battery connects to the motherboard, as well as this little cable here. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to open up the MacBook, and then we're going to press and hold the power button for 10 to 15 seconds. This is very important when doing any work with the screen, but anytime you work on the computer, it's also a good idea to disconnect the battery and then press and hold the power button to drain any power, just to make it a little safer to work on. All right, there we go. Let's close this down. All right, so now we're going to remove the screen here. They are hiding the antenna wires underneath this plastic piece here. It's kind of annoying. I don't know why they did that, but let's go ahead and show how to remove all of this. Okay, so let me see. Do I have to remove any T5 screws? I forgot to mention, we're also going to need a T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Okay, so let's go ahead and peel this plastic piece up slightly. Okay, just like the other one, you kind of want to go slow. All right. It looks like this foam, the way they designed it, it's just gonna tear. But normally if you peel slowly, you can kind of get it up, but it doesn't look like it's coming out. So I'm gonna use this little plastic pry tool to help try and scrape it up while I'm lifting it, and hopefully it will release. Otherwise, we're just gonna have this slightly loose. It looks like it doesn't want to, the foam doesn't want to release. So we're likely going to have to just end up tearing this foam thing that's holding it down. Okay, so let's see here. So it's better if you, it's better if you tear this side here. All right, again, I'm gonna try and just push the foam to try and see if it will peel up, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's just gonna tear. But let's see, maybe we'll get lucky and then we can kind of preserve a little bit of it. Okay, so I'm slowly peeling this up while I pull it. And there we go. Okay, so here we go. We got that up. Here you can see there's another T5 or Torx 5 screw under here. We're going to remove that as well. All right, and then there's a couple T5 or Torx 5 screws, or actually there's 4 T5 screws under there. So let's go ahead and remove those as well. Okay, 1, 2. Sorry, it's like almost 2 a.m. right now, so I'm kind of tired. That's why I'm not saying things as clear as usual. But anyways, I'll continue going. All right, so we got those 4 screws out as well. All right, and then we also want to, of course, disconnect the wireless antennas. It looks like the antenna goes underneath, so we are going to have to peel up even more of this thing, which is kind of annoying. So let's go ahead and get underneath there and try and scrape up the foam so that we can keep it intact. Hopefully it will let us stick it back down. There we go, like that. And here you can see the 2 wireless antennas. I'm going to just get underneath with my fingernail and pull it up at the tail. All right, just like that. You can use little tweezers, that will help. All right, just like that, and there we go. We got the wireless antennas disconnected. I'm gonna let this foam thing fall back down. Okay, so we got all the T5 screws out. Let's go ahead and switch to the Torx or T3 screwdriver. Okay, so we're gonna remove the screws. Oops, let's see if I can show this. We're gonna remove the 2 screws here holding this plastic, I don't know what you would call this little plastic cover, I guess, for the hinge screws. So there's 2 screws holding that. You want to keep all these screws in order again. If you mix them up and put the wrong screws in the wrong place, you can damage the computer. Right, so we got those 2 screws out. Now you want to lift up from here, and then you can pull this out just like that. Same thing with the other side. There's another one just here. All right, remove those screws there, just like that. 2 screws. All right, now we're going to again lift this up and then pull that out. Okay, so now that we got all of that, let's go ahead and take a look here. Okay, depending on your screen that you order, you might have to remove these brackets here and transfer them over. I'm gonna leave them on there for now. Actually, let me check the screen. So let's go ahead and remove the replacement screen. It's all wrapped up in all this bubble wrap. If your replacement screen is wrapped up like this, you want to be careful not to play around here, because removing the bubble wrap can create a lot of static buildup, okay? And if you touch this with all the static built up, you can actually damage your computer, okay? So you want to be very careful. I have my knee on a on my desk, which is made of metal. And then I'm also like have my feet on the ground. You don't want to wear shoes and insulate yourself while working on this stuff unless you have some way to ground yourself. Okay, so here we go. We got the screen like this. I'm gonna have to open this and check because I think some models have an extra cable over here, so I want to make sure this is the right screen model that we need. Okay, so I'm gonna set the screen aside. Okay, set that down there. Okay, make sure again, keep yourself grounded. And let's take a look over here. So that looks okay, that looks okay. All right, let me check. Yeah, so it doesn't have these metal brackets up here. So we are going to take these metal brackets out using the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. Okay. All right, remove both screws from that one. Once you get both screws out, take this metal plate and set that aside. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, remove both screws there. All right, and get this metal plate out and move that aside. Then we're going to disconnect or remove the 2 screws holding this metal plate in place as well. Okay, again, you want to keep all these screws in order because they can be different size and shape. They can and are different size, shape, and lengths. All right. All right, once you do that, we're going to move this metal plate off as well. And then we're going to remove the 2 screws holding this piece here. This screen replacement has a lot of little brackets and screws, so keep that in mind. All right. If you are going to work on this, make sure that you watch the video all the way through so that you can see what will go into this. All right, then we're going to remove this little bracket as well on top. All right, then we got 2 screws holding down here. Just going to remove those as well. All right, and then 2 more screws holding on this one. Almost there. We're going to have to remove all the wireless antenna screws, and then we're going to have to remove the actual hinge screws. So continue going. There we go. All right, let's switch to the Pentalobe 2 or Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. Sorry. And what we're going to do is remove all these little screws here on both sides. Okay, these are the wireless antenna screws. And the screwdriver is basically the same as the iPhone screwdriver, the one that you use to open up iPhones. All right, so let's go ahead and remove all these screws. Again, keep all these screws in order. They are different size, shape, and lengths. Okay. I really hope the screen is right, because if it's wrong, I'm going to have to take it all apart a second time and then get the right screen. Okay. So continue removing all these screws. Almost there. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove the wireless antenna now. So let me zoom out to make this a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. Alright, so the wireless antenna, there's these little air vent holes. This is how the air blows through. Alright, so I'm going to use that to help lift up this board here. Let's actually disconnect the LCD or LVDS connector as well. So I'm just going to get my fingernail underneath this connector, and then I'm just going to pop this up, okay, just like that. And then we can kind of hold that out of the way a little bit. It does spring back down, that's okay. All right, let's go ahead and pull this wireless antenna board up. All right, and you want to lift both sides and be careful because this antenna is attached to it. So this connector here, so we have to slide this out from underneath here. It's a little bit hard to see. I don't know how I can show this better, but let's see. All right, so hold this piece out of the way. Sorry, this is all shaking all over the place. All right, We're going to lift this wireless antenna board up. Going to make sure to push this piece underneath this little slot here. Okay. And then we're going to go like that. And then we're going to rotate the antenna board over so that these antennas can go underneath. All right. Just like that. There we go. And here is the wireless antenna bar. If you damage this, then your wireless isn't going to work. Your Bluetooth won't work. And yeah. All right. This little bar here is what helps hold it in place. But anyways, we're going to set this aside now. Okay. All right, so we pretty much got the entire thing out. Now we're going to have to undo the hinge screws. We're going to switch to the Torx 8 or T8 screwdriver. All right, I'm going to zoom out to show this a bit better. All right, so what you want to do, actually, you want to open the screen all the way. Okay, beyond 90 degrees, you want to open it all the way. And then what I do is I hang the screen off the edge of my desk. Let me see if I can zoom out and show this better. I don't want to show too far over, but let's see here. Okay, so there you go. You can actually see the screen hanging off my desk. And then I hold up that screen with my legs. And we're just going to undo all 6 screws holding the hinges in place. Okay. All right. Got those 3 screws. All right, and then we're going to get the 3 screws over here. All right, now that you got all 6 screws out, what we're going to do, we're going to move our legs out of the way, let the screen drop to about 90 degrees, and then we're going to use that to lift the screen up. All right, you want to be careful if it's getting caught on something. All right, it feels like it's getting caught. Oh, I think these spring things are kind of stuck. You want to make sure those aren't stuck to there. All right, and then we'll lift it out. And here you go, we got the screen out. So now we're going to get the new replacement screen. Same thing, you want to open the hinges all the way. I'll show you how to do that. Okay. Okay, so here we have the replacement screen, and these hinges aren't open all the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver, stick that through the hinge screw or the hinge screw mount, whatever you want to call that, the screw hole. Get that there, and then twist that to make the hinge opened up all the way. We got to peel off this tape here and the pink thing, move the pink thing out of the way. So hold this down here as you peel up this tape. If you don't hold it down, then you can end up damaging this cable here. So hold that down, and then go ahead and peel this up and off. All right. Once you get that tape out, you can go ahead and take this piece out. Okay. Then we're going to flip the screen around. Now this part's a little bit tricky. You want to get your fingers underneath the cables here, okay? Or you can use one hand to hold the screen and the other hand to kind of hold these cables up and out of the way. And then we're going to slowly drop the screen down into place. All right, make sure the hinges go into the right area, okay? And then drop those cables in. Let the hinges drop in, there we go. And then we can let this screen fall 90 degrees, all right? Make sure that this board ends up underneath this LCD LVDS cable right here, okay? All right, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna open or pull the screen all the way back again, get our legs underneath the screen so it holds it in place like before, okay? Now you can loosely put these screws in. We are going to apply some thread locker to help hold it better. Okay, I don't know why this screw doesn't want to line up right. Make sure you get it in properly. There we go. Alright, so we're going to get all 6 screws, hinge screws back in. Again, we're just loosely fitting the screws right now. Okay. The other screws, same thing. Okay, make sure that the screws are going in straight. They should be pretty easy to twist into place. If they're hard to twist, then you want to take the screw back out and make sure you get it lined up right. Alright, so we got all 6 screws in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slowly close the screen. Okay, you want to do this very slowly, just in case something's not lining up. You don't want to end up breaking it. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now we're going to lay the screen down. And now what we're going to do is loosen these screws a bit. Let me zoom in again. Okay. Alright, so we're going to loosen these screws a bit. Oops, not completely, just loosen it a little bit. Okay, if you want, you can tighten one all the way down and then loosen it. That will fold the hinge all the way down. Okay. Alright, we're going to do the same thing on this side and loosen it. Alright, and the reason we're loosening it is so that we can use our fingers along the edges to make sure everything is lined up perfectly. Okay, because it does have a little play, and the screen, if you don't, might not be lined up properly, might end up crooked. Alright, so now what we're going to do is tighten just the middle screws here. Okay, so this one and then this one, the ones closest to the center. Okay, just those two. And then we're going to get some thread locker and add it to the screws and put them back in. Alright, so I'm going to get some of this red thread locker. Alright, you can use any brand, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's remove the screw. And then we're going to add a little bit of this stuff. I'm going to do this slightly off camera, or maybe I can move this over. Alright, alright, we're just going to get a little bit of this red thread locker on there. Very little. Alright, not even a whole drop. As you can see, it's only on one side of the screw. And then we're just going to get that screw in and tighten it down. Okay, you don't want too much. If you put too much, then removing these screws later, if you ever have to, will be very difficult. Alright, so don't want to put too much. You can also use the blue kind if you want. You can use more of that. But the red one, I feel, holds better. Alright, even if you're only using a little bit. And you don't want these screws to come loose. Okay. Alright, so now that we got those two, let's go ahead and remove the screw that we tightened already in the center. And we're going to go ahead and add some thread locker to that as well. Okay, just like that. Alright, let's go ahead and go to this side and we'll remove these screws and do the same thing. Okay. Same thing. Tighten that all the way. Alright, last screw. Alright, and add that as well. Okay, we're done with the thread locker, so let's put that away. Tighten that screw in all the way. Okay, now we're going to have to put back all the other brackets and screws and everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch back to the T3, Torx 3. We're done with the other. Actually, let's go ahead and put back, yeah, I'll put back the T3. So first I like to actually put these spring-loaded ones. So let me zoom in. And then after that, we're going to put the wireless antennas. Oops. My phone's gonna overheat. Let me make sure to turn off. Sorry, I forgot I left the phone charging, so it was probably all staticky sounding. But anyways, let's go ahead and get the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. We're going to flip this piece over, okay? And then we're gonna hold that in place so that this is like how it was before, okay? Just like that. Let's get that screw in. Oops, there we go. It wasn't in all the way. While you're holding it, tighten that one screw all the way down. Okay, then we'll go ahead and get the second screw. Alright, and then we'll tighten that one all the way down. Now I'll do the same thing on this side. Rotate this spring-loaded thing. Okay, get that spring-loaded piece right in place. There we go, hold that down. get the screw, and then we'll tighten that down. I'm not too sure what those cables do, if they're important or not. I don't know, I've never torn one just to check, so I'm not too sure what those little cables do, but anyways, let's go ahead and screw the second one in. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and put back the wireless antenna board. The tricky part is getting these all completely to loop back in, just like before. We're going to have to move this out of the way slightly. Okay, we might have to actually straighten this out a little bit just to make it easier, just like this. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get those wireless antennas back into that hole area. Okay, might have to use some tweezers to lift this up slightly, so let's go ahead and grab some tweezers. If you don't have tweezers, just use whatever works. You might be able to do it just by maneuvering it. The tweezers make it a little bit easier. Okay, let me get this lined up again. Okay, again, see, you can kind of wiggle it. Actually, I didn't need the tweezers, so I just wiggled it, and there we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and continue getting this. This part might be a little tricky as well. All right, there we go. Okay, so now what you want to do is hold these pieces in like this. You want to lift it up slightly so that the center can also clear the area. All right, and then you should be able to push that down, and then if you pull on this, you should see that the center stays in place again, and that's how you know you have the antennas in the right way. All right, so now we're going to reconnect these wireless antennas. All right, it's a little bit tricky. Using tweezers helps, of course. Let's zoom in, and then let me see if I can show you this. All right, so the wireless antennas, all right. Hold that up and out of the way. Pull the wireless antenna over. We might have to like bend it first because we unbent it already. We straightened it out. So let's go ahead and grab this. Okay. Get the antenna lined up. Once you got it lined up, push it down. There we go. Same thing with the other antenna. You want to be careful not to scrape the board, of course. Okay, get that lined up. And then click that down as well. There we go. So we got both antennas in place. Now we're going to switch over to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay. Just so we can hold down this board. Okay, you want to make sure this board goes in properly, as well as the wireless antennas. All right, so let's go ahead and put the screw for the wireless antenna real quick. Sorry if I went off camera and it was hard to see what I was doing, but there we go. Get that screw in. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and put this plastic piece back down. All right, that was covering the antennas, and stick that back in place. If it doesn't stick, it's okay. This piece isn't really functional. It's more there, I think, for maybe Apple warranty, so they know that you opened it, or maybe it's just there so you don't know that there's wireless antennas and then you try and rip that thing out. All right, so anyways, let's go ahead and put the other T5 screws here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, put back the other T5 or Torx 5 screws here. We're gonna hold this down, and I'm gonna loosely fit the screws first just to make sure everything lines up properly. Okay, just loosely fit it so you can see it moves around. Other screw, same thing. Just gonna loosely fit that. There we go. Again, make sure the screws go in easily. You shouldn't have to like force the screws in. If you are, then that means the screws are crooked. All right, and you want to make sure to fix that so you don't end up destroying it. All right, so let's go ahead and get this one in. Okay, so I just loosely fit those. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten them down, all right? So go ahead and tighten this down. You don't want to tighten it too far because the threads on here are pretty small, so you can easily strip the threads, so you want to be careful. Just tighten it I don't know, it's hard to describe how tight you need to do it. I don't have an exact tightness, but I just tighten it slightly harder than when it gets difficult. There we go. So we got that in. Now we're going to go ahead and put back all the P2 or pentalobe 0.8 screws. All right, those are the ones holding the wireless antennas in place. So let's go grab these. The way I do this, all right, so let's see. So the way I do this is I hold the wireless antenna as far as I can down this way to the fan. And then we're gonna put this screw in first. Okay, then we'll get the other outer screw. Okay, again, holding this in place, and we'll get that screw in place. All right, we're gonna do that on both sides, and then you can go along. Actually, let's just go along and do the rest of them, so I don't have to keep moving the computer around or the camera. Here we go. Okay, just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and move over to the other side. Same thing. I'm going to do the outer screws first while holding this in place. That way the antennas stay in place. Okay, and you don't have to keep holding it. Right, hold that one in place. Same thing, tighten that. There we go. Now the wireless antennas will hold itself in place. They don't actually need all these screws going across. Technically, just those two would be more than enough. So, I don't know, Apple just likes to put a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay, let's go ahead and continue getting all these screws in. Go, and last one. All right, there we go. We got all the pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screws in, so we'll put that away. Now let's switch to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. Okay, and let's start putting back these little brackets and stuff. So I found what helps to put back these long brackets and things is you get the screw, let's see here. So you get the screw on the screwdriver, okay, and then what you do is you hold on to the metal plate, get the screw into the metal plate, and then use that to help you guide it. And then we're gonna loosely fit this screw first, okay? Get the second screw. And now that this thing is slightly sprung up, you can see it's holding itself up, so you can use this to help guide the second screw. Then you can hold that down, tighten that in place, and there we go. All right, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Get the screw. All right, hold the metal plate, get the screw in there, same thing, line that up, get that screw loosely into place. Again, you want to make sure the screw is going in the right way. If it's kind of hard to turn, that means you have the screw kind of crooked and you don't want to screw it in or you'll damage the threads. All right, so now we got both in. Let's go ahead and get that. And again, we can use that as a pivot point to guide the second screw. And then let's go ahead and tighten the second one or the first one down. All right, now we're going to reconnect the LCD LVDS connector. So it helps, sometimes you have to push the connector down that way a little bit, all right, to get it connected. So as you can see, all right, then click that into place. As you can see now, it's holding itself in. Oops, I actually disconnected it. I keep disconnecting it. Make sure this goes in. Man, why is it not staying in place? This is being a little bit difficult. Okay, there we go. All right, make sure it's pushed down all the way. And as you can see, now it's staying in place on its own. Oops, sorry. Okay. Same thing as the other ones. We're going to use the little metal bracket to help guide the screw. Okay, just like this. Get the screw in place. All right, get it lined up. Loosely fit that. Get the second screw. Use this to help guide it. And there we go. Tighten that down. Tighten the other screw back down completely. All right, we're almost there. Let's go ahead and get this other bracket here. All right, these screws are pretty long, so using this method helps a lot with guiding the screw into the right place. Go, second screw. Same thing, get that into place. And tighten that down. All right, there we go. Tighten the other side down. And there we go. All right, let's put back the little hinge screw covers. All right, so same thing. You want to put it at an angle like this. All right. Oops, why isn't it going in right? There we go. And then drop that down. Get the screw. And then tighten that down loosely. All right, so we just loosely put that in, and then get the second screw and get that. Once you get both in, then you can go ahead and tighten them down. So again, we do insert it at an angle. You don't want the plastic going over the edge of this, all right? So if you do it wrong, if the plastic is going over the edge, you want to fix that, all right? It has to go underneath, just like that. All right, get that screw, loosely fit that. Get the other screw. Let it go, tighten that down. Tighten that down. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and reconnect the batteries. So we're going to switch back over to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. And we're going to tighten back down the big screw that goes under here. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to reconnect this. So you have to kind of keep this peeled back. I know it's hard to see, but get the cable in. And come on. This one's a little tricky to do. But get that cable lined up and then pull that in. Come on. And this one's a little tricky. There we go. So make sure that cable is pulled in, and then when you do that, you slide your finger over the latch to latch it down, all right? You don't want to use something to poke it over, because if not, that latch will fall over. You just want to slide your finger over it. There we go. So now we're going to get this little piece and put this back on top. The way I make sure it's lined up is I line up the little rubber piece with the screw there, okay? And then we just flip it over and do that. There we go. Okay, so now let's make sure it turns on and the screen works. Let's zoom out here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the screen. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and plug the charger in. Actually, let me get the charger. I forgot to get that. I only have the smaller one plugged in, so let me make sure to plug in the larger one. Okay, let's go ahead and plug this charger into the MacBook. All right, this side. So you'll know it's working if the trackpad starts clicking. Right, there we go, it started clicking. Okay, should be starting up real soon. Okay, I hear it clicking. Yep, I'm gonna hold the Option key. As you can see, the Apple logo came up. And then you want to test the screen and make sure the auto brightness and stuff works. Okay, I'm going to have to ask the customer for their password to do that. So let's see if we can do a SMC reset. So SMC reset is Control Option Shift on the left side and the power button. So I guess they turned off the SMC reset on here. So now we're just going to do a PRAM reset. So I'm going to power this off completely. All right, you can do this after putting the cover back on, but I'm going to do the PRAM reset right now. So power button, Command Option on the left, and then P and R. So you hold this down. All right, you can actually hold Command and Option on the right side as well. If it works right, you'll see the Apple logo. It shuts off after. You can let go of the buttons after you see the Apple logo shut off, and then it should start back up with the Apple logo a second time. That's how you know you did the PRAM reset properly. That resets a bunch of settings on the motherboard that are stored on the motherboard. It doesn't delete any of your data, so don't worry about that. If you're curious about what exactly PRAM reset does, just Google it. It's PRAM reset, all right? And then you can look up if you're curious what it does. So there you go, screen is working. I don't think I'm supposed to show the customer's information, so I'm gonna just keep that off screen here. Okay, waiting for it to boot up completely. Touch bar is working. Some people told me that their touch bar stops working, so I don't know. Touch bar looks fine here, right? So you can see I have the brightness setting here, and it is adjusting the brightness, so we're fine. All right, and the keyboard backlight's not working because it's too bright right now, I think. So let's turn off the lights here. And yep, keyboard backlight works just fine, and the volume thingy works as well. Okay, so looks like we're good. All right, I'm gonna shut this down. We're gonna put the bottom cover back on, and that's pretty much it. All right, so let's close this up. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the bottom cover back on. So let's zoom out a tiny bit more. Okay, so for the bottom cover, there's a little dust here. Actually, let me clean that off real quick. Okay, that's off as well. I'm gonna just clean the little dust that I see here. Might as well while it's open. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and get this cover back on. So to get the cover on, you want to put it at an angle like this, basically the opposite of how we removed it. Make sure this edge is lining up, okay? You want to do the same thing on both sides. Okay, get it lined up. And then hold this area down while you slide it back, just like that. And then this side, you might have to pull it back a little bit. Same thing, hold this down and then slide it in. If it's not going in, you might have to pull it back a little more. And then go ahead and slide this in. Okay, why isn't it going right? This for some reason doesn't want to slide on properly. That's weird. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this back out. Maybe I didn't, okay, I didn't pull it back far enough. There we go. Slide that in, there we go. Okay, then we're gonna double check the left side. And if everything looks good, make sure the edges on both sides look good. Okay, it is slightly over to the left side, so I'm gonna actually pull this back out and I'm gonna try and line it up a little bit better. It's not that much and it's not gonna affect anything, but I don't know, I'm OCD with this kind of stuff, so I'm gonna pull this back out. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get this lined up again. All right, so once you get all of this back into place, that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, again, please like and subscribe. Share my channel with others. All right, make sure this is going back in. All right, and then clip these two down, clip the center down, and then get all the screws back in. But again, hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others. Thank you for watching. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider throwing a little my way. Every little bit helps, and it's greatly appreciated. All right, let's go ahead and tighten back in these Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screws. And that's pretty much it. All right. Thanks for watching. Welcome to stay while I put back the rest of the screws. Okay. All right. And I'll see you all in the next video. All right. Bye. Let's drop this thing.